I'm Carl Skelton. I started and I run the Brooklyn Experimental Media Center at what is now NYU-Poly, which some of the veterans in the room may know as Brooklyn Polytechnic. I'll give you a couple of updates on this and then some of the more specific things. NYU is getting back into the engineering business officially. It's through a merger with Brooklyn Polytechnic. We're now at the state of transitional affiliation. And will possibly be renamed again, who knows, in the next couple of years, but in any case will be the Engineering School of NYU. And before any of that came up, I proposed the idea of an art and technology program to then Polytechnic University, which is another one of these transitional name things. And against my expectation, they got really excited, not just in theory about how it would be great, but in practice about getting things moving. And indeed, we're now up and running. A Bachelor of Science program, a Master of Science program, and unofficially we intend, although the paperwork's not to Albany yet, to have an interdisciplinary doctoral program up and running in about a year. Now, of course, when an engineering school gets into creative, a bunch of interesting things can happen. Indeed, one of the interesting things that's happening is in the next few months, we'll be building the first piece of a new Center of Innovation in Technology and Entertainment. John Nordlinger's timing has been very good in that regard in helping us focus the first steps. It will indeed be centered on games and very much inspired by the intersection of creative fields, technical fields, and their usefulness and indeed urgent importance to education at various levels. Now, more particularly, a couple of updates, one of which is that having come to the Games for Learning Institute, being one of the people in the group that had actually gone to art school, I found myself harping about instrumentation early on, and I'm very excited to see how fast that's moving with this project, because I think it's generalizably vital, and the fact that we've got the resources and we're getting up and running, and how much there is to do in that area for this thing. And those things are coming together very, very nicely within the context of the G4LI. And so look for a lot more generalizable foundational work in that area. And then more particularly than that, on the development side, because we're now in the exploratory phase where we can wander a little bit afield with confidence that in due course we'll get corralled back, I've got a master's student who's got a propensity for digging down to the very foundational nuts and bolts of absolutely everything you let him touch. I'm sure you all know people like that. And he's working with a physicist on the faculty in Brooklyn, who himself had been striving alone in the dark, building a physics engine in 2D in Director for a decade in support of a sideline in kinesthesiology. And so they were very happy to meet each other. And what we're doing is we're going deep on the question of what can be done in terms of what XNA can do with physics, but all the way up into what somebody with a doctorate in 20 years can understand, so that we can then work back and figure out how to articulate Newtonian mechanics and some of the more complicated things in a, sort of a full spectrum of what you can mean by those things in this context. And so, because one of the great things, of course, about being in an engineering school is if you need a subject matter expert, that's really not a problem. And a couple of them are really, really, really into it. And so, and this goes out to G4LI, if you're not aware of this, or to the rest of the community, which is that we have an awful lot of subject matter expertise waiting in the wings, dying to get in on this. So we'll be ready to go there.